this week, as we continue the law and disorder, there is a major case that has been all over the news and the media and on the front pages of every online story from CNN to MSNBC to everywhere, to include now here at the BLC Pod. And that would be Sean Diddy Combs. Let's talk about it. Now, as you know, he did make an appearance previously when this first broke and he ran away and was looking like he was in some exotic location. And we was like, well, let's just wait and see what happens. But I don't know, we all was like that. So let me just go ahead and do a real quick recap. And I don't want to miss anything. So here you go. So currently, let me read this properly. Sean Diddy Combs is currently on trial in New York, facing serious federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transporting individuals for prostitution. Dun, 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 dun. And that's that law and order part, right? So anyways, the
Not
trial.
quite, but I see what you're trying to do there. I mean,
I was
make
trying
space.
to bring it back to
We
dun,
listen
dun,
and we don't
dun,
judge.
So I'm trying to make it spicy because this is a serious topic for us and we still want to keep it light. And so with that being said, the trial started this week on May 12th and is expected to last for several weeks because it is a lot of juicy information that has been coming out with the star witness of Cassie Ventura. And I will just say this. Largely is pertaining to the freak-offs. And I'm just interested in hearing your opinions as far as to where we are now. Now, I could recap some of the more revealing moments, such as the need to urinate everywhere to include in her mouth. Or I could recap other moments where she broke down in tears because of the psychological and emotional mental abuse and that conversation or that video that they discussed in the hotel. So she's on day 2 of testifying right now. Or I could talk about how her husband sat there and listened through most of this and how his sons walked out on the first day. But I'm not going to talk about any of that unless you guys would like me to. Otherwise, I would like to open the floor to hear your opinions on what I like to call P-Gate at this point.
I'm going to let one of the fellas go first. Come on
okay,
now.
that's true. There ain't going to be nothing left when I'm done with them. If you want me to get them. Yeah.
Go ahead then, Jay. Pause. I mean, all the way. It's not going to be anything left when I am done with him. Do you stand on that?
Them. Remember, I'm a poly guy. Them. I'm from the South. It's the abbreviation. Yes.
Oh, so you're part of the freak-offs too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
So he got
as a spokesperson.
Which brings me to my point, right? So, I think there's a lot happening here, right? I think that somebody wanted Diddy humbled, right? Otherwise, why are we hearing about baby oil? I think that somebody wanted Diddy humbled, and they took what looks so far and what's being presented is a domestic violence, possibly domestic violence case that, or whatever. Like if you take the video of it, the video footage from the hotel, definitely domestic abuse or SA or something. I don't know. Y'all know what I'm saying. Edit it, whatever. So my point here is that he says it's that first, and then somehow it's turned into a RICO case because supposedly sex workers were brought over, and the sex workers, were flown in, and then they had sex, right? And that's against the law, right? But now here's my point with this. If someone else is involved and they say it's consensual, then the situation changes. For instance, if the sex worker gets on the stand and he goes, "Hey, she told me to do this to her. She liked it when I did this. She was leading this thing. She was in charge." Then it becomes a he said, she said, and it changes because now it moves in a different area. For instance, you hear a man was choking his girlfriend, and then you find out she likes to be, eroto asphyxiated, whatever. Then that's her thing. You know what I mean? She likes to be choked. So he's not abusing her. He's actually giving her what she wants. Now, if he chokes her too hard or in the wrong place, that's a problem. But my point here is that it's really all about context. And I say this about context because I'm trying to make a larger point. And my larger point of context is, as far as the Cassie and Diddy thing goes, if they want to have sex with somebody that they think's attractive, who happens to be a sex worker, and they bring that sex worker over to hang out with them. The sex worker she just hanging out, she at the pool. They know what she does for a living, but she ain't coming to work. She just kicking it. But they decide they like her. She's cool. Now they want to have sex with her. She can't have sex because now it's against the law. They got to fly her back. Isn't that breaking the law again if they fly her back so they can have sex, try to have it legally? I mean, because really, initially, when they decided to have sex in this place where they brought her to, they were just vibing off of who she was, right? I say she because, I can't imagine. My point here is that if Michael Jordan, I'm going to use one more analogy and I'm going to stop there. Michael Jordan, great basketball player, yeah, right? Professional NBA player. If he goes and does a pickup game on Saturday at a court or whatever, right? It does not mean that he's working professionally, even though that's his profession, even though he's a professional basketball player. Every time he dribbles, it is not for work. So how are you going to take a person who is a sex worker and take every time they have sex and say it's sex for money? Of course, they had to bring the person over there and they had to get them someplace to stay. I've done it for people who weren't workers and we kicked it. I've taken people on trips and we kicked it. They weren't workers. They weren't working for me, right? And maybe we had a vibe, maybe we didn't. That's none of y'all business. Y'all so nosy. Y'all see my point though. Well, y'all, I'm saying, you see my point. My point here is that it's how you read it. Okay. And I said it, I'm gonna bring it all the way around again. It's a domestic situation that someone has turned into a RICO case by trying to tie in trafficking sex workers across lines for prostitution. However, if the sex worker is a real human being, which I think they probably are, they are allowed to move from place to place and have sex when they get there. I think they probably are. So there's a lot more there that could needs to be proven before I think you can say it's a wrap for Mr. Combs. Y'all can go ahead, man. That's my point.
Before anybody else go, I'm just going to add some additional context to this and state that there are now more than 100 individuals who are involved in this, who are claiming allegations between 1990 to 2023 of rape, drug-facilitated sexual assault, and sexual harassment. And then he has an additional 70 sexual assault lawsuits that are currently pending and has been filed against him, just to add that additional context for you.
Objection. I refuse. On what? So are these things that are being brought up in the case right now? Because yes, he may have civil lawsuits. Are those civil lawsuits being brought up in his federal case right now is what I'm asking.
So no, the lawsuits are not, but the individual who are involved are expected to be witnesses in this particular case, but with Cassie leading the charge. For the
okay, say that they have more witnesses, but to bring up the fact that there are other things like lawsuits that are not within the realm of the criminal proceedings that Mr. Combs is facing, I'm saying is irrelevant and should be stricken from the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you want?
I will.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can I sustain that?
I
want to sustain that.
I would say respectfully withdrawn and resubmitted for evidence is the fact that there are more than 100 other witnesses that they plan to call in this case. But otherwise, the rest of the information, I respectfully withdraw.
Well said, Counselor. Go ahead, Delvin.
Yeah, no, Jay stole all my thunder. Yeah, a lot of this is it's the salaciousness of it that I think gets people going, and they bring up, oh, this is a swingers and the baby oil and all that stuff. What makes this look really, really bad is Cassie's super pregnant right now. So you've got a pregnant woman, testifying about all of this, wild debauchery, hedonism, stuff that was going on, right? And so it's almost like it's Diddy's lawyer's worst nightmare. It's like there's a doomsday scenario for them, right? So if they can get past this, right? If they can get past the pregnant and the sympathetic figure, which I don't see how they do that, but it's a he said, she said. And once it gets into, and hopefully we do hear all the other people that are testifying, because I think it's going to be an aggregate of all the people testifying and kind of painting a picture together and of what's going on at the freak-offs. And like Jay said, once it gets into things not being consensual in the, I guess the spiking the Ciroc, spiking the baby oil, super weird. Once you start getting into the non-consensual stuff, that's when I think he's cooked then. And as far as the flying people, I did read some things that there are some people that were allegedly underage. That's going to be a problem. And if there's anybody there that was underage, that's how they're going to nail him. If nothing else sticks, that's where they're going to get him. That's what I would do. That would be my Al Capone tax evasion moment.